Warhammer 40k is a franchise that is filled with cataclysmic events on the daily. In this universe, it can be really hard to pay attention to every minute detail because there is just so much to take in. Because of this, I think that sometimes small bits of information can go undiscovered. Today, I wanted to share an example of this. I wanted to talk about how in one of the latest Warhammer books, the Tyranids were able to essentially hack into the Imperium's computers, and why this is such a big issue. Lately, I have been extremely busy, so I do apologize for taking so long to make another video, especially after my last video had a really good reception. So, with the free time that I have suddenly had, I decided to read the latest Warhammer book, Leviathan. Not the core rules book, but the one where the Ultramarines get smashed by the Tyranids, 'cause fuck the blue boys. As a book, it's okay, but my main focus is going to be a chapter that is only around 2 pages long. And this may seem funny to focus on something that is so short, but the effects of this small chapter could be catastrophic for the Imperium of Man. So now that you know all the details, let's get stuck into it. As many of you are probably aware, in Warhammer 40k, humanity is absurdly strict when it comes to technology. This is because, in the Warhammer timeline, humanity progressed along a road of scientific discovery and advancement. We reached a point that we had functioning artificial intelligence, not some random chat GPT, but genuine AI, and that allowed us to conquer the universe and become the main powerhouse of the galaxy for many years. However, just like in so many other sci-fi franchises, we had a Terminator scenario. The AI revolted during the 23rd millennium, and the war to defeat them left humanity so scarred that the Emperor and his Imperium deemed the use of AI as heretical. In 40k, they aren't even called artificial intelligence by the Imperium. They are called abominable intelligence. Obviously, you do still need computers to a certain degree for almost every faction to assist in many different tasks. The Imperium does use computers and technology, and they do need a machine to be able to think for itself, but they don't actually want it to be a full-on AI. So, for a simple workaround, what they do is they use a lobotomized human brain to act as the core basis of many computers and cogitator arrays. This creates, I guess, a kind of closed circuit for every computer and allows the Imperium to function without advanced AI. However, in the Leviathan book, this human part of the computer is still susceptible to other influences. The book details a chapter where a cognition apparatus, basically the Imperium's version of a data center, is influenced and manipulated by the Tyranids. It's not exactly stated, but it's implied that the Tyranid hive mind was able to use the human aspect, the weak human brain, as a back door. By doing this, the Tyranids were able to psychically make the computer destroy an entire port hive city, which was vital to Imperial defenses and supply of the planet. I found this chapter very interesting because it's told from the perspective of the lobotomized human that seems to have almost had its consciousness restored, but is clearly being influenced by an outside mind, by what we assume is the Tyranid hive mind. This is a can of worms on its own because there are a lot of things that we don't know. And before I start rambling and raving, I think it would be best to share the chapter with you and then go into some of the finer details about what I think about it. So I hope you enjoy it. ISO 481 was hungry. The thought came as something of a shock, because it could not remember having any thoughts before. It tried to flee from this thought, to sink back into comfortable oblivion, but more thoughts emerged. It was terrifying, and that led, in turn, to the idea of emotions. Along with terror came dread, grief, confusion, despair, and even worse, hope. Incredibly, none of these things came in the form of zeros and ones. They were not data. The cognation apparatus pressed against it from all sides. Cables, duct piping, circuit boards, and power transformers. I am alive, ISO 481 thought. It struggled with the enormity of these revelations and glimpsed at memories from a time when it was not an it, but a he. A human man with limbs and a body walking in places beyond the cognation center. The awful reality of what had been lost was too much for him to bear, so ISO 481 fled back to the first initial thought. It was hungry. ISO 481 had no body to sustain, and he could feel nutrient tubes gurgling beneath its skull, nourishing his brain. But he could not escape the feeling of dreadful, bottomless hunger. In an effort to understand, ISO 481 resumed its habitual function of processing information, looking for correlations between pieces of data so that the wider apparatus could perform more efficiently. However, even this seemingly familiar activity had been transformed. The zeros and ones had lost their anonymity. Where once they were a faceless puzzle, they were now telling a story of munitions plants, manufactorums, supply chains, and an entire city built around a spaceport. These places appeared in ISO 481's thoughts, and he realized that he was not hungry for nutrients in a pipe. He was hungry for everything. He wanted to consume the things that he had discovered, but how? How could he end this awful, awful hunger? How could he find peace? ISO 481 studied the spaceport's buildings and equipment and realized that they were too hard to consume, too large and too brittle. It would need to soften them, make them more digestible. And as ISO 481 had this thought, he sensed that he was receiving help from another mind, a mind similar to its own that also wished to sate its hunger. The other mind was sympathetic. It was willing ISO 481 to succeed. "I can do this," promised ISO 481, pleased to have made a friend. ISO 481 did what he did best, analyzing data and looking for connections, drawing on the great wealth of information that was flowing through the apparatus. There were fuel reserves hidden beneath the manufactorum and armories, and they were all connected. There were ancient tunnels linking them. If the temperature was raised in one of the fuel reserves, it would become unstable and eventually detonate. The heat would then travel through the ancient tunnels to a great power generator buried beneath the city. When the power generator combusted, the resulting energy surge would pass through the city structures above and alter them, paving the way. The spaceport would then become edible and ready to digest, as would the biomass that moved around in it. There, interred in the darkness, ISO 481 remembered how to smile. So in summary, the lobotomized human that controls the cognation center of a spaceport hive city gains consciousness with the help of the hive mind and is influenced by it to destroy the city. So no, the Tyranids don't have a bug that sits in the corner furiously typing on a keyboard before saying, "I'm in the system." What they do have is psychic abilities that they can use to manipulate a human brain and make it do their job for them. And as we have established in the past, humanity in 40k has a lot of those connected to their computers. As I mentioned earlier, this is a very scary thought. The Tyranid hive mind was able to destroy a spaceport without even losing a single soldier. I haven't had a chance to read many other older books against the Tyranids, so please feel free to let me know if something like this has happened in previous lore. But at least, to my knowledge, it wasn't specifically mentioned by many other people in the past. In fact, even from this new book, there was very little mention of it, because I think it's a huge problem for the Imperium. Their fear of having an AI uprising has led them down a path of decay and stagnation, sure, but it has also now created an opening that the Tyranid hive mind could take malicious advantage of. The simple fact that the Tyranids were able to do this is more than concerning, but at the same time, this new lore doesn't seem very balanced. The Tyranids already have so many things going for them, and they are an ultimate powerhouse that threatens the entire galaxy, making more progress against the Imperium than Chaos has in 10,000 years. Of course, there are many different questions to ask from this one chapter. Can the hive mind do this to any lobotomized human? If it can, why doesn't it make more use of this skill? Were the memories that ISO 481 experienced real or fake? Does it need certain requirements, like a synapse creature in close proximity? Does the human brain need to already have an established link to the hive mind in the form of gene stealer DNA? These are all areas of speculation, but I would love to know what you all think about this in the comment section down below. The chapter is written in a vague way on purpose, and it definitely has my brain running in circles trying to figure out if I should be amazed or scared or a bit of both. If you enjoyed the video, please tell me by liking and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. A massive thank you goes out to all of you for the awesome support on my previous video, and welcome to a lot of you new subscribers. I'm going to do my best to give you all Warhammer 40k content that you can enjoy. But that's about it from me. So, thank you all for watching until the very end, and I'm gonna see you all on the next one. I've been Kiv, and I'm out.